Welcome to the Dan Bundy Show, where we discuss books. I'm your host, Dan Bundy. Thanks, Crazy Frog, for that great intro. Your music is absolutely terrible. Today on the show, we have the award-winning book reviewer, Dr. Timothy D. Paulson, with us to review the book Fahrenheit 451 by the one and only Ray Bradbury. Hello, Timothy.
Hello.
Alright, so who wants to get in this review? Yeah, huh? Yeah, I hear you, man. Alright, let's get into this review. So, Doctor, give me a brief summary of the book.
Well, the story follows a fireman named Guy Montag in a futuristic city in the United States. There's a great sense of unhappiness in this world, and things such as suicide and extreme violence are pretty common. As the story progresses, Montag becomes more and more intrigued at the idea of reading books. However, this is prohibited in society due to the conflicting opinions and ideas that the books portray. After a long night of reading his stolen books, Montag turns to a former English professor named Faber for guidance. Faber explains the importance of books to Montag, and the two begin to formulate a plan to bring books back into society. Unfortunately, Montag's wife betrays him, and Montag is forced to burn down his own home by Captain Beatty. After killing Beatty and the mechanical hound with a flamethrower, Montag escapes and makes his way through a forest on the outskirts of the city. There he finds other book readers like himself who have each memorized a piece of literature. Montag is given the task of memorizing the book of Ecclesiastes within the Bible. As enemy planes destroy the city with atomic weapons, the group begins to look for other survivors and prepares to help rebuild civilization.
Sounds like a pretty enjoyable book. So tell me about some of the themes. Tim.
As I mentioned before, one of the main themes of this story is a great sense of dissatisfaction and unhappiness in society. One example of this is how Mildred, Guy Montag's wife, attempts to commit suicide. The doctor simply views this as just another ordinary day, as there are so many people trying to commit suicide each night. There are also many cases of children actually beating each other to death, which clearly displays this theme of unhappiness.
Tell me about some of the conflicts of the story, Tim.
Well, the main conflict of the story is character versus self, which is Montag versus himself. Montag has to choose between doing what is right, which is reading and learning from the books, or doing what society wants him to do, which is to pretend to be happy and satisfied and keep burning the books. Ultimately, Montag chooses to keep reading the books, which causes a great deal of confusion within himself, as everything that he was raised to believe is a lie.
What's your opinion on a possible movie adaptation on this book, Tim?
Well, personally, I believe the idea of a movie adaptation for this story is a good idea, but it would be very difficult to show a lot of the character versus self emotions, as much of that takes place in Montag's thoughts.
Well, it looks like we're out of time for today, folks. Thanks, Tim Paulson, for coming in and talking to us about Fahrenheit 451. Sounds like a very interesting book. I might have to go to the Marion Public Library and check it out.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Dan. I always enjoy being on.
Yeah, I had a feeling you did.